Here on Ultra Top Secret, we cover top secret political and military operations. And what we're seeing recently is another covert political operation. What we're seeing is Zelensky, there are reports that Zelensky met with Democratic leaders before meeting with President Trump. He was supposedly there to meet with Trump. That was the purpose. The sole purpose of his being in Washington was to meet with Trump and to sign a peace deal and mineral rights to help pay back some of the money spent to continue the war in Ukraine. But what we're finding out now is, even though his whole mission to be in Washington, D.C. was to meet with President Trump, before he met with the president, he met with Democratic leaders, which is suspect and weird and disrespectful all at the same time. If you're there to meet with the president, why would you meet with Democratic leaders before you met with the president? Then we saw what happened at the meeting, where it is the consensus among most of us that Zelensky was there. He had marching orders. He was told what to do when he got to the Oval Office. He was to create some type of conflict with Trump and scuttle the deal so then the war can continue and the Democrats could blame Trump for everything. We already know that the war was supposed to go on. I have talked about it in my other videos. The plan was to conscript 1 million people here in the United States in a draft and send them to Ukraine here in 2025. That was already set up and ready to go when Kamala Harris won. They had already planned on her winning because they were going to knock Trump out either through lawfare or terminating him. And so we see all of the political covert operations going on. Now they're really in a mess. They're painted into a corner, and so we see more covert ops going on, where they brought him in and told him what to do and to scuttle this peacekeeping mission. Now, I have said before that the 1 million person draft to start a war was already in the works with the Democrats. That was the plan. They have attempted multiple things to start a reset. I talked about this in many videos. There's a video I did where I talked about how a missile was fired at Hawaii during Trump's first presidency, and that was going to be the thing that started a war. And when that didn't happen, they are now working this angle to try to get the United States entangled in this war. It is rumored that tomorrow, when Trump meets in front of Congress, that he's going to pull out of NATO, and he's already, just within a couple of hours, pulled out all the money from Ukraine. And I say, God bless America and good riddance to that phony, fake BS war in the Ukraine. I say that because it's only been continuing because of it's basic. The Ukraine is basically a proxy state for NATO. NATO has been arming, and U.S. and European countries have been sending troops in there, mercenaries, and even probably special ops guys, sadly. And U.S. weapons have been used to strike targets inside Russia. They're doing everything they can to start a war. So, of course, Zelensky wasn't really here to do a peace deal. We're going to see more evidence to show that Zelensky met with Susan Rice and Chuck Schumer, deep state players, and that they were told, he was given his marching orders by them. We know that Zelensky came here and he's a big Democratic Party pet. We know that he even came here to stump for the Democrats against Trump. So we know it's the regular deep state players, and now we're going to see the evidence that he met with these people before he met with Trump today. This is Matt Morris TV. He's awesome. Let's see what he has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, what I have to show you today is absolutely insane. You see, we now have proof that various top Democrats, including Chuck Schumer, had a private meeting with Zelensky just hours before he sat down with President Trump. And the goal of that meeting? To sabotage Trump's plan for peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. And yes, you heard that right. The very same Democrats that pretend to care about democracy just worked to subvert our democratically elected president in order to keep a foreign war going. But hey, don't take my word for it. Take a listen to this.
The peace deal that blew up in the Oval Office Friday would have been the starting point for negotiations to end the Ukraine war. It would have put America at the center of Ukraine's future development, and it would have brought back some of the money we invested over there. It's also worth mentioning that it would have stopped the killing. So how come it fell apart in that Oval Office blow-up? Well, perhaps it's got something to do with the meeting that Zelensky had with top Democrats hours before he arrived at the White House. Democrat Senator Chris Murphy posted this on X on Friday morning. Quote, "Just finished a meeting with President Zelensky here in Washington. He confirmed that the Ukrainian people will not support a fake peace agreement where Putin gets everything he wants, and there are no security arrangements for Ukraine," end quote. In other words, just before Zelensky was due to sign the deal, he was telling the Democrats he didn't like it, and they supported his opposition. They encouraged him not to sign. Then Zelensky went into the Oval Office, rolled his eyes, talked over the president, argued with him, and killed the whole thing. No doubt the Democrats are pleased. They have helped scuttle President Trump's foreign policy initiative. They're piling on the insults. Senator Adam Schiff calls our president a coward. Democrat Congressman Seth Moulton says Zelensky's a hero for standing up to Trump and Vance, who he calls puppets. Perhaps the left believes that Trump can be demonized again. Is this the return of Trump derangement syndrome, maybe? That doesn't do America any good at all, and it certainly doesn't help the people of Ukraine who now have to keep fighting.
Folks, all of this is absolutely unbelievable. The Democrats aren't just opposing Trump domestically, no, now they're working to undermine and subvert him on the world's stage. And now we actually have even more proof regarding just how deep this betrayal of American democracy actually goes. You see, inside sources are confirming that Chuck Schumer himself instructed Zelensky to reject Trump's peace proposal. And then, after Trump's meeting with Zelensky had concluded, guess what Chuck Schumer did? He came out and publicly accused President Trump of, quote, doing Putin's dirty work. Folks, you seriously can't make this stuff up. The Democrats are literally going behind our president's back, sabotaging peace talks, then accusing him of being the bad guy. But you know what? Check this out. Chuck Schumer wasn't acting alone on this one. Because now we have reports that are alleging that several key figures from Obama's team also told Zelensky to reject Trump's peace negotiations. This list includes former Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, Susan Rice, and Alexander Vindman. So folks, let's get all of this straight. We have unelected former officials from the Biden and Obama administration, as well as Senate Democrats, interfering with foreign policy without the sitting president's approval, all to keep the war in Ukraine going. How is all of this not the textbook definition of undermining democracy? Because folks, here's the reality. The Democrats aren't just working to subvert President Trump. No, they're actively working to subvert the will of the American people. But before we continue talking about that, I want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news coverage, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. But okay, folks, check this out. Right at this very moment, President Trump has his highest approval ratings of all time at 53%. Also, 63% of Americans want a total shutdown on all foreign aid, including aid to Ukraine. On top of that, 78% of Americans think it's time for Ukraine to make a peace deal with Russia. The American people have very clearly spoken. We are done with this war. And yet, instead of listening to the American people, the Democrats are holding secret meetings with foreign leader Zelensky in this case, pressuring him to reject peace and pushing for even more bloodshed. And so, folks, what seems very clear to me is that the Democratic Party is no longer acting in the best interests of America or Americans. Now, let's take a step back and really think about what's happening here. What we are witnessing right now is a perfect example of the so-called deep state in action. For years, we've all known that unelected bureaucrats and entrenched politicians like Chuck Schumer have been working behind the scenes to control our government regardless of who we vote into office. And now, we have top Democrats, once again like Chuck Schumer, who are not in power anymore, colluding with foreign leaders to sabotage the sitting president of the United States of America. They lost the election, they lost the argument, the American people have spoken. And yet, instead of accepting it, they're doing everything they can to undermine the will of the people. And folks, let's be honest, if the situation were reversed, if Republicans were meeting with foreign leaders to sabotage the Democratic president's negotiations, the media would call it treason. But because it's the Democrats doing it in this case, it's just business as usual in Washington, D.C. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why President Trump's mission to drain the swamp is more important than ever. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who we vote for if a bunch of unelected bureaucrats and minority party politicians can just step in and undermine everything our elected leaders try to do. We, the people, elected Trump to manage foreign policy. We, the people, elected Trump to put America first. And we, the people, want peace, not endless war. But like I said, none of that matters if these deep state operatives are allowed to continue running the show from behind the scenes. And so that is why it's absolutely crucial that President Trump succeeds in rooting these people out of our government once and for all. Because if we don't fix this problem now, if we don't get rid of these corrupt bureaucrats and partisan activists pretending to be public servants, then we will never have a government that actually represents the will of the American people. So really, when you think about it, this is not just about President Trump and what's going on right now. Really, this is about the future of our country. Either we have a government that listens to the people, or we have a government that ignores us while taking orders from a bunch of unelected, unaccountable insiders. For years, the Democrats have told the American people that they are the party of democracy, but now they're literally having secret meetings with foreign leaders to undermine the democratically elected president of the United States of America. They are defying the will of the American people to keep a foreign war going, and they are doing it while accusing Trump of being a threat to democracy. Folks, it is absolute insanity, but you know what? The American people see right through it. There is a reason why President Trump's approval ratings are so high right now. I'll tell you why. It's because people are sick of this anti-democratic behavior from the Democrats. But folks, this is a big one, so I want to know what you guys have to say about all of this, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Please like the video if you liked it. Like I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. Thank you all very much for watching, and of course, as always, stay safe.
Wow, very, very well put. That was amazing. By the way, if you're still here, I believe I've earned your subscription as well. I understand the struggle against the YouTube algorithm, believe me. So yes, we're seeing covert political operations here. I would love, God, I would love if Trump and them knew that they were going to do this and they recorded it somehow or somehow had some evidence that they did this and was able to throw them all in jail for treason just for this one act alone, which is probably what this is. We already knew the Democrats, the deep state players like Chuck Schumer, they already have been, they're working with other deep state players like George Soros. We all know that George Soros has been funding these guys, these attorney generals, these politicians, these NGOs, these people to disrupt America and try to get the Great Reset going. They're looking for some big war so they can start a war, and then the financial systems will collapse, and then they can institute their own smart city implementation. Like I said before, they were planning on war, and because they keep getting thwarted over and over again, they keep maneuvering. It's like a big chess game. They were planning on having Kamala Harris get in there, and she was going to be another useful idiot, just like Joe Biden. It was going to be a fourth Obama term. I was up all night watching the election, November 5th, and I was watching, and here we go again. I was watching in Pennsylvania, quit counting, North Carolina, Georgia, quit counting. I said, oh God, here we go again. They're going to do it. And then there was a big 18-wheeler pulled up to the Philadelphia accounting building with a couple of police with their lights on, escorts. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. What is going to happen now? And then nothing happened. Then Pennsylvania reported, and then the other states followed suit once they saw that Kamala Harris could not win once Pennsylvania fell. So I just want to bring this to your attention. This isn't just, things aren't just happening. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There is a secret war going on. I've been talking about this for a very long time. They've been trying for a very long time to get a secret war going. Like I said, go check out this video here where I talk about how the plan was to get Hillary Clinton in, and then they were going to have some false flag operation go off on one of the Hawaiian Islands, blame North Korea, and then that's when all the virus was going to be released. The immigrants were going to flood into the country. The police were going to be defunded. The immigrants flooding into the United States were going to then be hired by the Democrats to be basically death squads. And it was just going to be bad. Trump and the Patriots have been thwarting this over and over again. And we're going to see tomorrow, I'm very sure Trump's going to, he's already cut off all funds to the Ukraine, and now he's going to announce getting out of NATO. And I think it has to be done quickly, because I think now the Great Britain, the UK, is talking about they're going to fund Zelensky. They want to get troops in. So I think that Trump needs to get out of NATO real fast here before they try some type of false flag over there and have NATO get in there. So Trump knows all this, and that's what's happening. So that's what we talk about here in Ultra Top Secret. If you're still here, please like, share, and subscribe. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening throughout the next few days, and we'll be analyzing it. So that's it. I hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.